already changed only one word here. Every time you cannot change language.
Sir, okay, sir. Okay, sir. I'll share it from my end, sir. I'm opening the PPT, sir. Just a second. Sir, is it visible, sir?
Yes.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Full screen you take.
Sir, I've taken full screen itself, sir.
Next slide you go.
Okay, sir.
Okay. It's okay. Come to the first slide.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir.
Is someone will introduce or I myself will start?
Sir, just 1 minute, sir. I will introduce, sir. Hello? Good evening. Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to third day 1 week international online faculty development program organized by ASN Pharmacy College, Tenali, AP, in association with APTI AP State Branch on Artificial Intelligence in Drug Discovery and Development. Myself, Dr. V. Kodreddy, Professor, Department of Pharmaceutical Chemistry, ASN Pharmacy College, Tenali. As a part of the E-Fdp, today's topic will be on artificial intelligence in the identification and pharmacological testing of genuine raw materials in plant-based botanicals in product development. It is my pleasure to introduce today's resource person. Coming to the brief details about today's resource person, Dr. C.H.V. Rao, currently working as Chief Scientist and Head Pharmacology Division, CSIR, National Botanical Research Institute, Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh, India. Dr. Rao received PhD in Pharmacology from the Institute of Medical Sciences, Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi, India in the year 2000. He done graduation from Mysore University and post-graduation from Tamil Nadu MGR Medical University, Chennai. Dr. Rao worked as postdoctoral fellow at AIIMS, New Delhi, funded by Department of Biotechnology, New Delhi. He is a fellow of the National Society Ethnopharmacology in 2012. He is instrumental in pharmacological screening of herbal drugs and products for safety and efficacy studies. Dr. Rao published 159 research papers in peer-reviewed national and international journals. Dr. Rao is a member of various reputed professional organizations in India and abroad. Dr. Rao is recipient of Sri Bhojraj Panjumal Gold Medal in the year 1996 and 1997 and Surveyor Young Investigators Award in 1999, instituted by Institut de Recherches International Surveyor France, Young Scientist Award from Department of Science and Technology, and National Medical Plant Board, Hyderabad in the year 2005 and 2008. He received Technology Award in the development and commercialization of anti-diabetic product BZR 34 and MBR MAP. Dr. Rao visited several events, workshops, seminars to enhance his professional experience at various capacities. To his credit, he is holding 52 patents and a number of products were commercialized. Overall, he is having more than 23 years research experience in the area of medicinal plant and drug development. Now, I hand over to today's research person. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Thank you very much, sir,
Sir,
for a
okay,
nice introduction.
Okay, sir.
You can upload the presentation on the
Yes.
slide.
Upload చేయమంటున్నారు సార్. Upload అని చేసే తొందరగా.
Sir, you have shared the screen, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon to everyone. We are able to see the slides now. The artificial intelligence in the identification and pharmacological testing of genuine raw material in plant-based botanicals in product development. Is it audible? Able to hear me?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. It's good. Because I'll be covering in this line in various aspects. First, I must be thankful to the ASN College principal, Sir Ramana, Professor Ramana Garu, who has given opportunity, and he's my colleague and he's my senior and is a well-wisher to me from 2-3 decades, which we are working in this line, and got opportunity to interact with you one and all here. I'm representing from the National Botanical Research Institute, one of the premier plant-based organization of the CSIR. I will introduce about the CSIR and also the NBRI, and we'll be focusing on the topic which rightly taken in the present scenario, that is artificial intelligence in drug development. In this, I'll be focusing on the plant-based botanicals, what are the raw materials that are being used, and how artificial intelligence play a role in product development and drug discovery. And go to the next slide, please. Go to the next slide. Here we don't have control.
Sir,
Go
if
to
you
the
tell
next
me the
slide.
next slide, I will change. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You have to be alert.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Go to the next slide. Yeah, because go to the second slide. Yeah, because when we look into the CSR organization, there are more than 38 organizations of the CSR labs. Our CSR NBRI is one of the plant-based organization, which there are different departments working in this plant-based products and botanicals. And these botanicals will be seeing about the different divisions, that is a plant diversity, systematic herbarium, plant ecology and environmental sciences, molecular biology and genetic engineering, phytochemistry, pharmacology, and the other administrative support. And we are having the experimental research stations and planning and coordination center, information and economic botany and information services, and SNT support, which is coordinated directly from the CSR, and it is linked to the director of the organization. And here, when we look into the scientific strength of these scientists, there is 100 plus scientists which are working, all are working in the line of botanicals and plant-based products, from the basic science to the applied science. The 100 scientists, most of the scientists are comes on the background of the basic science, and also focusing on the application oriented. And as a pharmacy and a pharmacology, we have taken up and established the laboratory here. And in this, I will show the NBRI, what are the opportunities and what are the scopes in the initial 2-3 slides, and we'll focusing on and followed by the presentation on the artificial intelligence. Next slide, please. The mandate of the organization, when we're looking, performing basic and applied research on various aspects of plant science, including conservation, systematic documentation, prospection, and genetic improvement, with particular emphasis. It is emphasized on underexploited and non-traditional wild plant genetic resources of the country for the sustainable development and human welfare. The major core areas which we are working in R&D is plant diversity, systematics and herbarium, plant ecology and environmental sciences, botanical garden, floriculture and agrotechnology, plant microbial interaction and root biology, plant molecular biology and genetic engineering, pharmacognose and ethnopharmacology, and the phytochemistry. These are the major 7 areas which the 100 scientists have been placed in the 7 areas of the core R&D areas, working in the both in the basic and also the applied research, and focusing on the plant-based products from the floriculture, ornamental plants, and agriculture crops, and also the medicinal plants which we are working. But as we are working, and I am presently focusing on the medicinal plants in the pharmacological studies. Next slide, please. The aim and objective of the organization is basic and applied research on plant diversity and prospection, plant environmental interaction, biotechnological approaches of plant improvement, development of technologies for new plant and microbial sources of commercial importance, building up germplasms, repository of plants of indigenous and exotic origin, including rare, endangered, and threatened species, providing expertise and assistance for identification, supply, and exchange of plants and the propagates, garden layout and landscaping, dissemination of scientific knowledge and technologies on plants and molecular and microbial resources through publication, training, capacity building, and extension activities. Next slide. When we look into the major attractions of the organization, we can see the different conservation: cactus, succulent house, fern house, palm house, bonsai house, cycad house, moss houses, touch and smell garden, which is more than 100 acres of the area of the garden, which is distributed various conservation purposes, are the different from the desert plants to the floriculture plants to the ornamental plants, and even we have developed a touch and smell garden for the blind people. Next. When we look into the specialized services and facilities, we are having the herbarium, one of the richest herbarium in India, and we are holding it houses over 250,000 plant specimens, properly identified and classified. Herbarium serves as a key source based for taxonomic and systematic resources, carry out supply and exchange of specimens with major herbaria of the world. Besides undertaking identification of plant on request, digitalization of NBRA herbarium is in progress, and the Knowledge Resources Center, that library, and the institutional KRC currently holds around 55,000 volumes and online journals, and we are having several Indian and also the foreign periodicals, and central instrumentation facility. It is NABL accredited, highly analytical instruments including NMR, and we are having the laser scanning microscope and several facilities which is existed through the central instrumentation facility, which the R&D, and we can take an interaction program from the academic to the industry and also to the R&D organizations, which the samples will be tested mostly on the central instrumentation facility.
అంటే సార్ అంటే చాలా నీట్గా ఉండాలి కదా సార్, అందుకు తీసుకుంటున్నారు సార్. అంటే
Next slide.
సెషన్ కొద్దిగా కరెక్ట్గా ఉండాలి కదా, డిస్టర్బెన్స్ లేకుండా.
Next slide.
వేరే వాళ్ళు వస్తారు.
Artificial intelligence. When we come into the topic of artificial intelligence, what is an artificial intelligence? Uses personified knowledge and learns from the solutions it produces to address not only specific but also complex problems. Remarkable improvements in computational power coupled with advancement in artificial intelligence technology could be utilized to revolutionize the drug development process. At present, the pharmaceutical industry is facing challenges in sustaining their drug development programs based on increased R&D cost and reduced efficiency. Natural products mostly derived from plants, animals, and microbial resources. Therefore, we will be focusing mostly on the plant-based plant-based products, and also the microbial resources which we are working. The low-income countries mostly rely on natural products as a primary health care. The ethnomedicine expounds better superiority over contemporary drugs. The natural production is therapeutic authentication of the drug development. Artificial intelligence has revolutionized many aspects of the pharmaceuticals. Artificial intelligence assistance to pharma industries helps to improve overall life cycle of the product and implementation in the pharma ranging from drug discovery to product development. For new drug approvals, the possible ways that artificial intelligence can improve the efficiency of the drug development process and the collaboration of the pharmaceutical industry and the drug development firms. Next slide. When we look into the milestones in the artificial intelligence process, in 1943, it has started the neuron. The neurons can be a logical operations like and or not. And when they are connected as network, this process was proved by Waldwitz and Warren Euler. And in 1951, first neural network which solved a problem from the real world, that is static neural analog reinforcement computer by the Marvin Minsky. In 1956, subsequently, artificial intelligence was coined, and in continuation, 1958, perception neural network that transmit information in one direction was created by Frank, which is the origin of today's artificial intelligence progress. In the chronological order, if we say 1969, Minsky supported the symbolic representation of problems in this book, Perceptrons, 1974, 1980. During the period, interest on artificial intelligence was dropped, which is called as first AI winter. In 1986, backpropagation algorithm design was developed, which is widely used in deep learning nowadays. This phase is called as artificial intelligence winter in 1987 and 1993, and followed by 1997. This year, IBM Deep Blue defeated with the Gary Franson, the Russian grandmaster, and 2013. Google used British technology to perform efficient research on photos, and 2016 Google DeepMind software AlphaD defeated the co-champion Lee Sedol. In this chronological order, when we see the artificial intelligence and machine learning approaches for drug development, the interaction of the drug molecule, how the protein ligand complexes, how the bonds have been formed in the small molecular information, how when interact with the target site, we see the element specific groups, which is the functional groups, which will be playing a key role in the pharmaceutical industry when it binding to the receptor at the specific site. When we look into the mathematical representations, how this response has been taken for the machine learning prediction of a drug, and what is the how do we screen and the finally the product, and how do you draw conclusion in this machine learning approach in the drug design, because it is we are reading in the both in the graduation, the different disciplines, and also the post graduation in the pharmaceutical chemistry, QSA, quantitative structural activity relationships, and resembling how this machine learning approach helps us in the drug design. And next slide, please. And the basic model of artificial neural network architecture proposed, where the input layer is model for network inputs and the outer layer is model for network outputs. Because when we look into the present scenario, and how do you predict, we are screening the drugs of the natural products or the synthetic products on the in vitro studies, and also the in vivo models, and acute studies and toxicity studies. What is the and this will be replaced in the coming days with artificial network, and how this layer, that is the input layer and the hidden layer and the output layer, this artificial neural network architecture, it is a software design programs which will help us in the development of the drug design. In the continue next slide. These artificial neural network ANNS applications are widespread in the molecular modeling, especially in increasing the efficiency of the drug discovery. When we look into the ADME studies like absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion, that is pharmacokinetics, and toxicity prediction, that acute toxicity studies, chronic and subacute toxicity studies, and when we look into the different regulations like pharma industry, and the phytopharmaceutical mode and the Ayurveda Ayush mode, when we look into the plant drugs, we'll be looking into the Ayurveda Unani, and Siddha system of the medicine. And when we look into the modern Indian pharmacopoeia, the British pharmacopoeia, which is the specific standards to be maintained, how this virtual screening is predicted, and how do you validate of predicted poses, and how the formulation development, design of the chemical libraries. When we look into the organic chemistry or the pharmaceutical chemistry, how the molecules and the functional group and the molecular structure and the basic moiety, how it plays, and the functional groups, how it is interacting. These studies will be designed, and that will be through the pharmacophore perception and quantity structure activity relationships and the database research. These are the interlinked approaches, which is in the earlier slide we have seen the how it is linked and how it will be efficacy is predicted. Next slide. And development of machine learning and deep learning basic toxicity predictions from the source of clinical data information. When we look into the vital organs and the DNA predictions and how the clinical data is helping to the information what else we get from the clinical data, it will be pulled into the machine learning program and also the deep learning. And what is the biological relevance, what is the mechanistic approach, that is mechanism, and the toxicity predictions. When we look into the toxicity predictions, what are the adverse effects and side effects and a long-term use, and what is the toxicity effect not only on the person consumes the drug, natural products or synthetic molecules, and we also have to see how it crosses the placenta or the fetus, which keeping in mind of thalidomide issue. Therefore, teratogenicity studies also been required, and these are the models and the activities and the mechanistic approach, and how do you validate to reproduce the data in different model systems. These is instead of taking much time and a lot of resources, the financial crunch to overcome these issues, the machine learning approach and the deep learning approach coming into the prediction of the toxicity. Once the toxicity, the molecule is safe, then we go in depth of the studies for the mechanics approach. Next slide. And when we look into the artificial intelligence tool in drug discovery, how we go into the and air open source these library for process of the aids, and these are the things which has to be read the popular artificial intelligence tools. These are the specific model tools which are well taken from the network, and you can go through these slides, and these slides gives an indication what are the tools that helps in the drug development in artificial intelligence, and these gives a basic tools which we can predict the molecule to go into the drug discovery. Next slide. Similarly, popular artificial intelligence models in pharmaceutical industry, the machine learning models, and what is the description used for the genetic algorithms, and these are the things which is used for the not only for the molecules and also the when we look into the natural products, we'll be talking about the how the plant has been processed, how do you overcome from the adulteration and substitution, and in the large scale collection of the plants and economic viability of the plants, and these plant materials when it is look into the cost affair, and how to overcome the adulteration and substitution or intentional or unintentional adulteration of the genuine raw material. And these artificial intelligence play a key role in not only in the pharmaceutical industry and the herbal industry also. The machine learning approach is very much essential, these models to be predicted. Next. The importance of plant-based botanical, they offer a natural alternative to synthetic ingredients that can have harmful side effects. It is used to accurately identify genuine raw material in plant-based botanicals. Many of the botanicals have been used for centuries in traditional medicine, suggesting that they may have unique therapeutic properties that are worth exploring. Because when we look into the plant-based botanicals, these botanicals, it covers from the small plants to the higher plants and high altitude plants, and how these plants have been sustained in the different geographical geological areas, and also the environmental conditions and the diversified nature. As product development continues to evolve, it becomes increasingly important to accurately identify genuine raw materials and plant-based botanicals. Demand in the pharmaceutical and also in the nutraceutical and herbal supplement industries play a key role in the drug development. By using advanced technology and algorithms, we can now detect and isolate the specific compounds that make up these materials, allow us to create better and more effective products. These are the way. This is very much genuinely how we can identify the plant materials. And when we look into the raw materials, when we are picking from the wild source, and now we are moving into the cultivation source, and QPM quality plant materials to be provided to the industry and to the suppliers, which the medicinal plants to be cultivated specifically to reproduce the data to overcome from the adulteration and substitution and also the heavy metals. These genuine raw material is essential for the development of effective and safe plant-based products that may be high quality and free from impurities, not only on the impurities and also the toxic metals, the toxic metals and the limitations, and we have to follow the various guidelines to execute these reproducibility of this data. And this can be compromise the efficacy of the product and even pose health risks to consumers. There are a number of reasons why genuine raw materials are important in plant-based product development. First, they ensure that the product contains the active ingredients that are needed to produce the desired effect. The active ingredients is nothing but the specific marker compounds that each plant will be quantified by the 4 specific reproducible markers, both in the qualitative and the quantitative analysis by the different instrumentation techniques like going for HPLC and HPTLC and also the GCMS, LCMR, NMR, and various active ingredients to be identified. And these active ingredients, these minimum four active ingredients of each plants to be quantified to produce the desired effect. Second, they help to ensure that the product is safe to use. Third, they can help to improve the quality and consistency of the product. Now, where are the trust areas? How do you focus on the trust areas of the botanical research? That is when we look into the marker analysis, that is specific marker analysis, when we look into the biological markers, when we look into the chemical markers, and the chemical markers are very play key critical role in the botanical research. And the traditional medicine, what are the claims that the traditional use of the specific plant or the material used for the processing in the drug development, and the reverse pharmacognosy and also pharmacological studies, evidence-based research, formulation and development, genomic sequence, systemic biology approach, lead compounds from medicinal plants, pharmacovigilance of natural products, and organic farming and plant biotechnology and marker analysis. This organic farming is very much essential in the present scenario in the producing the quality plant material and the marker identification of the plant material to reproduce the data. Next slide, please. Steps to initiate herbal pharmacovigilance. Steps to initiate the pharmacoherbal vigilance, that good regulatory practices to be followed, good quality management, pharmacovigilance center, adverse drug reaction monitoring programs, safety update reports, development of safety database, post-marketing surveillance, development of product database. These are the specific pharmacovigilance, because one of the product we developed several products in this line from the natural base, and major one of the product is anti-diabetic product, that NBR MAP BJR34, which is well recognized, and we received the national award. And these monitorings are not only working on this line of area of research from the CSR, and also we take up from the advanced research to the industry, industrial oriented, and linked up to the commercialization of this product. And how do you and follow up the studies through the pharmacovigilance. Next slide, please. What is the application of the marker analysis? When we look into the pharmacy background, we have to look into the stability studies of the product, confirm the potency, validation of therapeutic doses. Because when we look into the pharmacological studies, we'll be looking for the acute studies and also subacute and chronic studies and long-term studies, and we will be calculating the LD50 and ED50, and also how do you calculate the dose validation, and what is the therapeutic index of the drug molecule, and also you confirm the uncommon chemical entities, because when we know the known compounds and the unknown compounds, there are uncommon chemical entities which play a key role in the identification of the known compounds or unknown compounds. And these evaluate the characteristic fingerprinting of the molecules or the extracts or the fractions of the plant-based products, and detection of adulteration and substitution, and play a key role in the product development of herbal industry. This artificial intelligence focus to identify not only the marker compounds or the chemical markers or the biological markers, and this plays a key role in the identification to overcome the adulteration and substitution of the genuine raw materials to be taken up in the to be seen, and helps in the pharma industry, herbal industry, and authentication of botanical source. Because how do you we authenticate, say, like tulsi plant, like Ocimum santum? How do you say that, how on what base we have identified the plant is a genuine raw material, and what are the chemical or biological? And the authentication is play a key role, identification the botanical source, and achieve more consistent quality, and quality of the and quantify the active principle. As I said earlier, in the marker compounds, quantification plays a key role, and what is the percentage of the molecules that are present in the plant extract, and the quantity is directly proportional to the pharmacological efficacy, and ensure product efficacy, and evaluate plant material grade, verify the label claim. And these are the chain programs, and these marker analysis play a key role in the herbal industry and also the pharma sector. Next slide. And the identification techniques for raw materials. There are a number of ways that artificial intelligence can be used to identify raw materials. One way is to use machine learning algorithms to analyze images of raw materials for the identification of plant species, plant parts, and the quality of the raw material. And another way to use artificial intelligence to identify raw materials, to use spectroscopic techniques. Spectroscopic techniques, that may be the HPLC, HPTLC, LCMS, NMR, can be used to identify the chemical composition of raw materials and ensure that it is free from impurities. What are the benefits of artificial intelligence in the raw material, in the product, in the plant-based products? There are a number of benefits to use it in the plant-based botanical industry. Increase the efficiency, that help to automate many of the tasks involved in the plant-based product development, such as identifying raw materials and testing the efficacy of botanicals, that can save time and money. That improved accuracy, artificial intelligence can be used to identify and measure small quantities of substances, that can improve the accuracy of plant-based product development. That also increase the safety, used to identify and remove impurities from raw materials, help to improve the safety of the plant-based products. It is like safety efficacy plays an important role in the product development. What are the challenges and limitations when we look? Artificial intelligence has shown a great promise in identifying genuine raw materials in plant-based products, that are still several challenges and limitations to its use. One major challenge is the lack of standardization in the industry, which makes it difficult to develop algorithms that can accurately identify all types of raw materials. And because it is a single plant or a multiple plant compositions, one or more plants are mixed together, what are the specific markers that has to be physical identification may have some errors, but to overcome those errors, this artificial intelligence play a key role. Additionally, the complexity of the plant-based compounds and their interactions with other compounds make it difficult to accurately predict their pharmacological effects. Another limitation of artificial intelligence in this field is the need of large amount of data to train algorithms. Obtaining sufficient data on plant-based compounds can be difficult, as they often have unique chemical structures and properties that require specialized testing methods. Therefore, it is very much essential these overcoming these limitations and standards. There the plant-based botanical industry, that the data availability, that is artificial intelligence algorithms require large amount of data to train, and this can be a challenge from the plant-based botanical industry, as there is a limited data available on the efficacy of botanicals. Algorithm, that is one. When we look into the bias, these are one of the challenges that is artificial intelligence algorithms can be biased, that can lead to inaccurate results. This is a challenge that is being addressed by researchers in the field of artificial intelligence. There are limitations in this line, and we have to upgrade ourselves, and we have to see where the lacuna, and how to overcome the difficulties when we are looking into the R&D sector, when we are focusing on the AI. When we look into the regulations, into the artificial intelligence, not only in the artificial intelligence, we have to look into the regulations of the country to country. When we look into the product development, we will be looking into the Ayush based regulations, that is Ayush, Ayurvedic, Unani, and Siddha system of the regulations when the products are coming from the plant based. When the products are coming from the FSSAI regulations, that is a nutrition based products, that is FSSAI regulations to be followed. When you look into the phytopharma regulations, like a single plant and used for the modern advanced studies, single plant used, and the identification of the 4 marker compounds, and the rodent, and it is to be tested both in vitro studies and also in vivo studies, and also the 2 animal models, and also this rodent and non-rodents are to be used in the phytopharmaceutical regulations. When we look into the regulation of artificial intelligence, it is relatively a new technology. There are limited regulations governing its use in the plant-based botanical industry that can be challenged for companies that are developed in artificial intelligence-based products. When you look into the drug development, it is a proposed decision support tool to assist effective decision making on drug development, devising a drug development recommendations and prediction models, recommending drug groups suitable for development by individual pharmaceutical companies, predicting the success probability of specific drug development by a company. Next slide. Method domains of artificial intelligence. That is artificial intelligence and machine learning. It is nothing but in a machine learning programs, that is artificial neural network, decision tree algorithms, insistent based algorithms, that how do you perception, reaccurate neural network, feed forward network. There are the different network like Benzmann network, conventional neural network, and when we look into the decision tree algorithms, random forest, classification and regression tree, and the insistence based algorithms, the self-organization map, and the nearest neighbor, and support vector missions. This figure shows the different method domains along with their subfields that can be implemented in different fields in drug development, drug discovery and development. Therefore, these are very much essential. From this very much, it is very clear a great opportunity when we are learning into the entering into the area in the artificial intelligence era in drug development, and this helps us to overcome the difficulties, and the cost which we are putting on the drug development will be reduced tenfold than any other thing. Next slide. Role of artificial intelligence in drug discovery. That is, artificial intelligence can be used effectively in different parts of drug discovery, including drug design, chemical synthesis, drug screening, polypharmacology, and drug repurposing. That is AI in drug design. When we look into the AI in drug design, prediction of 3D structures of target protein, predicting drug protein interactions, AI in predicting drug activity, AI in de novo drug design, AI in, when we look into the polypharmacology, designing biospecific drug molecules, designing multi-target drug molecules. When we look into the chemical synthesis, prediction of reaction yield, prediction of retrosynthesis pathways, developing insights into reaction mechanisms, AI in designing synthetic route. AI in drug repurposing, identification of therapeutic target, prediction of new therapeutic use, AI in drug screening, prediction of toxicity, prediction of bioactivity, prediction of physicochemical property, identification and classification of target cells. These are the role in the drug development. AI play a key role and rose several opportunities in this line. The integrated approach in botanical research, that is, as I indicated earlier, these are the several which the quality assurance, quality regulations, and how the safety evaluation, how the efficacy studies has been made, how the traditional claims has to be quantified, and how do you analyze the data, and how do you predict the data, how do you overcome the adverse effects, or the what are the pharmacological standards and physicochemical standards, and the clinical study and the prediction through these techniques like a target compound analysis, and what are the methodological approaches. Metabolic profiling of the drug molecule is also essential when we look into the plant-based products. These primary metabolites and also the secondary metabolites of the plant play a key role either in the to post the product either in the nutraceutical purpose or the phytopharmaceutical purpose in the Ayush mode regulations. When we look into the purpose of the nutraceuticals, we have to see the what is the content of the protein or the carbohydrates or the primary metabolites play a key role. When we look into the secondary metabolites, with the regulations has to be followed by the phytopharmaceutical regulations to see the approach keeping in mind of the artificial intelligence approach in botanical research. Next slide. What are the roots of artificial intelligence in drug development? That is when we look into the drug development process, when we look into the target validation, biological assay, compound screening, like this we are having several stages of the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, approval, drug design, and IND filing, and drug development process, drug development strategies, and the artificial intelligence in drug development. These are the areas which are we as a pharmacist and also the pharmaceutical background, we are much aware the various phases which the drug has to be which has to be to be crossed through the pipe to come out as a new drug entity. And this artificial intelligence is the very easiest way to overcome the errors which we are routinely coming and which knowingly or unknowingly in the laboratory and the animal studies error, which we can overcome through this artificial intelligence techniques which is to be executed in the drug development process, mainly focusing as we are focusing in the plant-based products. Next slide. The applications of artificial intelligence and its subfields, that is the artificial intelligence is nothing but a machine learning and a deep learning in healthcare, and we are focusing much on the healthcare. That is what is an artificial intelligence, that is a machine learning program. When we look into the healthcare, what are the different in healthcare, we are not only looking into the animal when we look into the animal care, when we look into the human healthcare, when we look into the R&D sectors, what are the difficulties that we are how to overcome and encountered to overcome these difficulties, and how do you come through the visual assistance, and what is the patient data risk analysis, how do you manage yourself in the hospital, and then what are the healthy conditions and the surgery lifestyle and digital health monitoring and diagnostic centers. These are all the things in the artificial intelligence which is to be covered, which is covered here. And when we look into the machine learning, there is a when we supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning, and how do you classification, regression, clustering, and feature finding, and decision making and execution. I think this artificial intelligence should be kept as one of the subject in the pharmaceutical industry and in the curriculum in the graduation of the post graduation in the pharma sector, which is very much essential to take up and include in the syllabus also. This because the most of the terminology which we are using here, this artificial intelligence, the terminology is different, but when we are looking at the practicality and approach, the pharmaceutical application oriented, which we are studying in the different subjects in the curriculum, this artificial intelligence also to be taken in the as one of the chapter in one of the curriculum in the graduation or a post graduation in the M.Pharm level or a P.Pharm level. Next slide. And the applications of the artificial intelligence in different subfields of the pharmaceutical industry, from drug discovery to pharmaceutical product management. Because when we look into the clinical trial designing and monitoring, quality assurance and quality control, pharmaceutical manufacturing, pharmaceutical product management, drug discovery, pharmaceutical product development, and when we look into the applications of AI, when we look into the management sector in the pharmaceutical product, the marketing, market positioning, market prediction, and how do you analyze and predict costing, and drug designing, the target protein structure prediction, and the interaction between the drug and the protein, and the de novo drug design. Because when we look into the when we are studying in the curriculum, what is a drug, what is a protein, what is a receptor, and how the drug binds to the receptor, and what is the efficacy of the molecule, what is the target site and the type of the receptor, and how the drug binds to the receptor, what are the bonds that are forming, whether it is a covalent bond or a reversible bond or irreversible bond, whether it is a strong bond or a weak bond, and what is when we look into the when it is a covalent bond, it is binded to the specific site, and irreversible binding site, then what is the prediction of toxicity, and these are all things to which we are predicting and we read in the textbooks. And when we look into the practical application studies and experimentations, which takes a lot of time consuming process, but these all things can be overcome by the using the techniques of the artificial intelligence in product development of the herbal industry. Next slide. Next slide. The cooperations between artificial intelligence and pharmaceutical companies and areas of collaboration in drug development, because there are several areas which the pharmaceutical industry, which I given a glimpse that which we can see the various companies which have already working in this corporate sector using the techniques of the artificial intelligence, and how do we can collaborate from the like a institute, industry, and organization, and the university collaboration, academic institute university interactions to be much helps us to put the studies in the advanced mode using the techniques of the artificial intelligence in drug development. Next slide. And these dominant pharmaceutical companies and their association with artificial intelligence and organizations, these are the collaborative works which you can these slides can be circulated among the members who are interested here and working in the field of can be used in the oncology, cardiovascular diseases, central nervous system disorders. These artificial intelligence helps us to predict the molecules used in various disorders and drug in the healthcare sectors, mainly in the cancer patients. This helps in the RDOs in the serious cardiovascular problems and the central nervous disorders. These are the main threshold where the potential of this artificial intelligence, which is the fields to be focused here. Next slide. And these are the screening process of artificial intelligence to the search engine, which this is the records that that identification to the PubMed to the keywords of artificial intelligence and different strategies of the drug development. And because we are using the PubMed, and usually you go for the how do you search the articles of the review articles or published articles, and these are the artificial intelligence play a key role here. Next slide. Identified artificial intelligence and real world data and applications across the different stages in the drug development process. That is when we look into the drug discovery, target identification and validation, and new biomarker discovery. When we look into the panel, the new biomarkers identification, and when we look into the panel of artificial intelligence and RWD applications, the biomarker discovery using ML, that is preclinical research, that is preclinical safety evaluation, clinical safety evaluation, and drug repurposing, and trial recruitment optimization, and stimulation of control arms and external control arm. And these are the things which the panels to be used for the epigenome wide association studies and genome wide association studies. When we look into the GWAS, that is genome wide association study. When we look into the machine learning, that is ML, these are the things which used to be, these abbreviations can be used to be known when using the different tools in the artificial intelligence. Next slide. When we look into the number of original studies with artificial intelligence using real world data in drug development process tremendously increasing, and year by when we look into the 2005 and when we look into the 2017 to 20, there is a huge potential. The adverse event detection used in the detecting the adverse effects, and the trial recruitment optimization, clinical drug repurposing, and these are the areas which purposes which the artificial intelligence is much helps in the identification and overcome the adverse effects. Next slide. And when we look at the breakdown of the real world data sources, data types, and artificial intelligence methods used in the identified applications across the drug development process, this is the adverse event detection, recruitment optimization, clinical drug repurposing, and overcoming. When we give the overall, if you see the number of studies used by the artificial intelligence, driven natural language processing, that is NLP methods, we separate NLP studies from other mission deep learning ML or a deep, whether that is machine learning or a deep learning studies. These algorithms are very much when we go into the studies, you will be much aware about the studies where to be detected and how to be optimized and where the clinical studies to be repurposed. Next slide. Perceived artificial intelligence maturity of function. The overall artificial intelligence maturity in pharma industry is step by step it is going on increasing. That is drug discovery artificial intelligence maturity, regulatory and artificial intelligence maturity, clinical operations artificial intelligence, pharmacovigilance or safety studies, and supply chain. These artificial intelligence are used in the different baskets which is used in the mature or nascent techniques which is perceived here. Next slide. What are the functions and the departments responsible for artificial intelligence and new technologies? There is a responsibility of individual business units, R&D, research and development, chief CIO, the chief information officer. We are the other sources we are not aware that the major used in the the central responsible that individual business units and the chief digital officer. These are the functions and the departments which are using the artificial intelligence in one of the paper. It is represented here. The data has been taken. Next slide. Artificial intelligence innovation utilization by company size, that enhance literature review, social listening of adverse events, chatbot and virtual engagement, clinical patient selection recruitment, target identification pipelines, personalized treatment, genetic data analysis, generation of small molecule leads, shipping and manufacturing accountability, drug repurposing, and drug and product order authenticity. And these are the areas in the large companies of the land and the medium-sized companies and the small companies, how artificial intelligence play a key role both in the different small, medium, or the large industrial applications. Next slide. And the major factors are not utilizing artificial intelligence, lack of skill. Why we are not using? Lack of skilled staff, because we are not much aware and we have got less opportunities. The safety and regulations compliance and the budget constraints, mistrust of unvalidated technologies, company culture, legal and IP concerns, and previous failed attempts to implement. Based on these few factors, which the artificial intelligence are, we are not using fully the technology which is to be executed. Next slide. Artificial intelligence implementation challenges. Next slide. Next slide. That is staff skills. When we see that is a significant challenge is on the 55. That is moderate to minor challenge is only 45. There is a gradual decline in the company culture, technology application, intellectual property, leadership, regulatory, data quality, lack of validation, data access, and the data structure, budget, and staff skills. These are the implemented. There are the several challenges which is to be overcome to execute this artificial technology in the drug development in the R&D sector. Next slide. The framework of the drug development reaction, that model of the new drug development planning, that is drug development portfolios of the pharmaceutical companies, company profiles, drug features. When we look into the DDR, that is drug development recommendation models, and association rule learning, collaborative filtering, content based filtering, and how this new drug development of the company, how it is ranked 1, 2, 3, and what are the molecules, how it is ranked, and how the drug company A and company B, how they are ranked and how they move and how they predict the success of the drug development. The model consists of three main parts: data input, model building, and output of recommendation or prediction. data on drug development portfolios of pharmaceutical companies or company profiles and drug featuring and entering to build the drug development recommendations model. Drug development recommendation model outputs the recommendations for enterprise specific drug development and prediction of companies with high probability of success in the development of particular drug. Next slide. Artificial intelligence can be used to develop models that predict the efficacy and safety of the plant-based botanicals, used to analyze the DNA of plant samples to identify their species and genetic makeup, used to analyze the chemical composition of plant materials, helping to identify the presence of specific compounds with known pharmacological activity. Therefore, once we know these are the safety and efficacy, and also the DNA plant sampling, and also helps to identify the presence of specific compounds, and in this drug discovery, drug screening, drug design, drug repurposing, and what is the pharmaceutical development, whether it is nano robots, drug development, controlled insulin release. These are the several areas in the pharmaceutical manufacturing, and the clinical applications like radiology division, oncology, cardiology, gastroenterology, ophthalmology, surgery. These are the several areas which the artificial intelligence play a key role in the healthcare sector. Next slide. Overall the conclusion that the future prospects when we see artificial intelligence can be used to develop models and predict the efficacy. Can be used to develop models that predict the efficacy and analyze the data of plant and species, as I said earlier. And thank you so much for giving an opportunity. If any questions you want to ask, I am free to answer. And I hope you enjoyed the presentation and able to hear without no hindrance in the power or any sound during the course of the presentation. Thank you very much. And here I must be thankful to one and all who are hearing here and joined in this program, as given opportunity by Professor Ramana Garu, who is a mentor and philosopher and a elder brother, and to me, who has guided in all steps in my life to come into this stage. When I look into the background of he asked me to brief about my background of how I came up to this position for more than 23 or 24 years experience of R&D in the CSIR. I joined my studies. I joined BPharm from JSS College of Pharmacy, Mysore, from Mysore University. As introduction, he has already, sir, has already briefed, and MPharm in pharmacology from JSS Uti. And most of my seniors are visible here who have joined here during this program. I must be thankful to my seniors and colleagues during my studies, which helped me to be in this stage. And done PhD from Banaras Indian University and postdoc from All India Institute of Medical Sciences. And during the course after the PhD, I worked in Sri Vishnu College of Pharmacy as 1 year as a lecturer. During the course, I have been been selected here when I joined in lecturer and Sri Vishnu College of Pharmacy. I must be thankful to the starting footstep which the institute has given an opportunity to enter into the CSIR. And I have crossed here more than 22 years of service in the CSIR. I must be thankful to one and all. If you have any questions in this line, I'll be much grateful to answer to the query which it is to be raised to the level of my best in the artificial intelligence.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Hello,
Yeah,
good afternoon,
Nagamani, madam.
sir. I'm your student from Vishnu College of Pharmacy, sir.
Okay, wonderful. Very good.
I'm very pleased to see you after almost 25 years. So, sir, I have heard an excellent session from you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm very happy to see after a very long time.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir.
Myself, Dr. Potreddy, sir. It is very informative session, sir. I would like to extend my heartful gratitude behalf of ASN Pharmacy College, sir, for your valuable time for taking this session, and we thank you for accepting our invitation in your busy schedule. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for giving an opportunity.
Thanks. If any queries, please do share the participants.
If anyone wants to ask any queries, please do share, or else we can end the session.
I hope everyone, because this is a very good area which our professors has rightly chosen the theme on artificial intelligence. It must be grateful to Professor Ramnagar, who has taken
sir.
initiation to work on artificial intelligence. And he asked that you please present on artificial intelligence. I was so much confused how I will present. And when I'm starting reading the articles of different subjects, it is so easy and got a better opportunity. Each and every one has to a little tune our area of researches, focus on artificial intelligence, which is highly used. Most of the Western world driving R&D most in the artificial intelligence. Huge prospects are there in the future.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you for being with us, sir. We are ending the session, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.